Good evening, Buckle Chasers. I'm Mike, and this is my channel, Get My Buckle. Today, we are going to have a show with one of the original OG racers, Jeff Leenhouts. He has 28 buckles. So we'll find out what happened to the other two, as I'll share with mine as well. But between Jeff and I, we have got 55 years of Leadville. Crazy, huh? So anyway, Jeff, thank you for taking time out of your day. Appreciate it. And we'd like to hear about your journey, how Leadville found you. And along the way, let's leave some tips and advice for the newbies who got the email in January and are like, what now? I'm in Florida, I'm in Massachusetts, I'm in who knows where, and I have no idea what to expect. So we'll try and walk them through some of the things to prepare for and expect, and set the compass as best we can for the first time buckle chasers. So anyway, Jeff, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
How did Leadville find you back in 95? What, 30 freaking years ago?
Yeah, well, it was a long time ago, but I heard about the race was on a mountain bike magazine. It was an article written by Mike Ferrantino about John Stamsted's win the first year. And I saw that article and I talked to my buddies and I said, guys, we need to do this. This looks awesome. So we signed up and we got in first year. I don't even think there was a lottery. I don't even think there was a lottery the first year.
Oh,
I mean,
no
you
way,
just
there was
signed
no
up and you
lottery.
got in. So
If somebody sent him a check, you're in, right? I think there was 135 guys in the starting
could have
line,
been.
something like
So
that.
I had done some big rides, but nothing like this. Um, my bike back then, I didn't have a front shock. It was a solid fork. I had BioPace rings in my. I had V brake. I had not V brakes, but like drum brakes, and the rear brake was down at the by my bottom bracket. The rear brake was down by my bottom bracket. It was the original Specialized stump jumper, or was it a stump jumper? Yeah, stump jumper. Original uh, aluminum stump jumper. Um,
Oh my goodness, that's great.
so just the technology, the post was like way up on you. Um, I had the climbing bars that are just go up your handlebars like that. And yeah, so we signed up. I got two of my buddies to do it, and we packed up our car and drove to Colorado. Never been there, just showed up about a week ahead and did the race.
Oh my
And it
goodness.
was it was fine. I was nervous, but um, it was fine. It was fun.
That's great. Now, have those two guys that you started the journey on, have they done it more like you, or?
One stopped at like two or three, and then one stopped at like 10 or 11.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I race with both of them still, but they kind of stopped going to Leadville.
Okay. So, all right, you got a couple buddies. You said, okay, we're gonna do this. What do you think? Did you change how you were riding? Did you say, oh my God, I've got to ramp up my training, or was it I'm in good shape? What do you recall any of that?
Well, to a degree. I mean, I had been biking a lot. I wasn't a rookie. I mean, I had done double centuries. I had done not Ironmans, but half Ironmans and Olympic triathlons. So I had experienced riding for long periods of time, or exercising for long periods of time prior to the race. So it wasn't something totally new to me. Um, but still the elevation was, I mean, that was a new thing. But
What
the
do you live at?
distance, huh?
What elevation do you live at?
Sea level.
You're at sea level.
I am.
Wow, that's a big jump. So when you drove, you've never been to Colorado before. You've got your
Never.
mountain bikes in your truck or whatever in the however, and you get to Leadville. What's your, what are you thinking?
It was just, it was a trip. I mean, we pulled up 24 there and into town, and just it was raining. I think it might have been hailing or something when we pulled into town. And it was just like pulling into this, old Western town. I mean, it was like a time warp. I mean, it's the craziest place I'd ever seen before in my life. And you look to
I
the
mean, you
right, you
were.
look to the left, and these huge mountains, and I'm like, oh my God. It was amazing. It was just something I'd never seen before. So it was exciting. We were excited.
Yeah, and back in '94, that's what you were pulling into,
Yeah.
right?
No,
I mean, really,
there was nothing there. It's nothing like it is now. I mean,
right, whole different world for sure. So, did you get to ride the course? Were you able to find it and figure it out?
I think this was before GPS and
All
all.
right.
I think we had a map or something, but we camped the whole week before the race, and we camped right on the course. Um, so we would just do, a section every day, and um, then just have our spaghetti and go to bed and do it again the next day.
Do you remember what you were using for your fuel back then?
Well, I mean, back then there wasn't fuel. I mean, there really wasn't. I think power bars had just come out,
Yep.
and those were like these flat, kind of like a taffy kind of consistency.
Like a
And
bit of honey, right?
yeah, and I remember what I would do is, and I still do this now, is when I race, I open all my bars and just get rid. I don't want to litter, so I just open the bars and put the naked bars in my pocket. And I remember just you could stack those power bars were so sticky. You could stick like four of them together, and I would just put four of them stuck together in my pocket and just eat all four of them at once.
Oh my God, does that sound like a tooth puller?
That's
Oh
all they had.
man.
They didn't have goo. They didn't have hammer gel. They didn't have
Birdie?
scratch or anything like that. So it was just power bars. It's all they had.
No, I remember that. That's oh my God. Well, here you go, first timers. Here's your first tip. Unwrap your stuff ahead of time. So number one, you don't litter, which is great. And number two, you're not dealing with it when you're trying to ride.
No, God, no, you're not trying to open something.
Yeah, right.
And
That's a
what are you
pain.
doing anyways? I mean, just take them off out of the wrapper and put them in your pocket. Who cares? I
There you
think.
go.
Yeah.
Sage wisdom right there. 28 buckles. This guy knows what he's talking about. So, okay. Oh, that's interesting because I think I did. I did, and I also think Power Bar had a powder because I remember buying it at Performance
Yeah.
Bike in big jugs.
Performance. Yeah.
Yep. And I think that was the only thing they had, right? That was like the only kind
Right.
of of a product, electrolyte, product that was available. And the sticky power bars that would pull your fillings out when you're trying
Yeah.
to chew
Oh,
them.
they were brutal.
That's
Brutal.
hilarious. I kind of forgot about that until you mentioned it. But all right, so the fueling, and did you do the pasta dinner and the pasta loading?
Yeah. I mean, the race used to have a pasta dinner. I don't know if they still have it or not, but they had it in that old gym. They
Right.
had a meal on Friday night.
Yep, I do remember. I was part of that meal every year.
And I volunteered every year. I did the packet packing the day before. So I helped out with that for about 10 years because they always said if you volunteered, you have a better chance of getting in the next year. So I
Right.
made sure I volunteered every year.
And that was me as well because I've always had dirt bikes and I used to race, so I always brought a bike to Leadville when I would come up there, and I would take my dirt bike and hang a garbage bag on the handlebar, and I would just go up I would go up Tennessee Creek Road
Uh-huh.
because I'd stay at in the early days I'd stay at Sugarloafing, and so I could just get on there and I'd clean the course up all the way to Keevan. And I did that before they asked you to do that.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I just did it, and then I'd bring everything I found. I'd bring it back to the office and say, "Here, I did from this point to that
That
point.
helped.
Here's some
Right.
clothes, and give them back to riders and lost and found or whatever." But yeah, nowadays I've been doing that for 25 years,
Yeah.
maybe
Well,
maybe more.
I
And
saw you on the course.
that's right.
That
Yeah,
must,
he's got the two stickers. I saw Jeff on the course when I was out there one day. Um,
that's
but
great.
now when I go to do cleanup, I learned this about 2 years ago. I'm cleaning up, and here are two other people cleaning up, and we start to have a conversation. And I'm like, "Well, I've been doing this for 25 years." And he's like, "Well, we signed up." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, we signed up. This is our section of the course."
Oh, I see.
I'm like, "Bull fuck shit." So we had a little race to the top of Keevan to clean up. So they got the double duty clean on that one,
Got it.
which is kind of cool.
Nice.
All right. So do you remember the starting line? The weather and the temperature and how did
Well,
that
oh yeah. Well, there's every year is different. There was one year I remember it was super cold, but those first like 5 or 6 years, you would go down there at like 5 a.m. And I remember laying my bike literally right at the start line. Like just you put it down on the ground next to someone
absolutely.
else. And then I'd go back to where I was staying and just wait till about 15 minutes before the race started. And then I'd go down and my bike would be there. I mean, I literally started on the first row, like
Yeah.
for the first 5 years. And
Yeah. I
now
remember
it's
that.
totally different.
Oh,
But I was
right. The
literally on the
corrals and
first.
all that stuff totally different. Because I remember even maybe 8 years in having a friend of mine who was there to help me crew saying to him, "All right, would you please just get up at 4 in the morning and go lay my bike up as
Yeah,
close as you can to the starting line, to the gate and or the banner, and come back." So it was so different back in the day,
so
man.
different.
Just so different. Oh my gosh. Do you remember um do you remember the checkpoints? Fish hatchery in particular. Do you
Yeah.
remember the Harley crew that would man the fishing hatchery checkpoint?
No, I don't remember that.
Oh my goodness.
Harley guys?
Yeah. The motorcycle club, Leadville or whatever, there was close motorcycle club.
Hmm.
In the morning, they're rowdy, and they're a little rowdy.
Yeah.
And you've got to come up, you got to ride up on your bike, you've got to ride to the table, you got to tell them your number, they're going to write it down, okay,
Oh,
and you take off. Whole different world back then. Well, when you're coming home, they've been in the handles of whiskey
oh
all
God.
day and the beer. So when you come home, they are rowdy now, and they're
Right.
trying to get you to do a shot, take a beer. They're giving you shit. Come on, you can do this. What took you
Right.
so long, man? You should have been here an hour ago.
Right.
What do just they're busting your nut. It was freaking hilarious.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm
I
surprised
remember that. Don't
you don't
remember.
remember that.
No.
Maybe you were probably ahead of me at that point, so it didn't matter. So I was back then. It was my times were quite different. uh, so do you remember? Do you remember Columbine? Can you recall that stuff?
It all kind of blends together. I don't
So many
I
times.
don't remember the first race, anything. I mean, all I remember is just the finish line was just, when you finish, that's what got me hooked. Just like your last guest said. I mean, that's you finish and then you watch other people finish, and it's just an incredible feeling. And the way Ken just made you feel part of the race and part of the Leadville family. And I just got hooked. I just was like, I want to experience this again. And
For sure.
and so I have. But I'll never forget that first year. Just the feeling you got when you finished was
Well,
just
this
immense.
might be this might be a good time to share this one. So one of my many. year one, I listened to the wrong people, the crew that I was with. They were talking about proteining up before the race. So,
Yeah.
which is exact opposite of what, everything happens now. So we proteined up. Well, proteining up, when you drink, 12 little bottles of Ensure in 24 hours,
Okay.
that's a lot. And then all of a sudden your body says, at least my body said, what are you doing? And on the starting line, I got to go find a porta john real fast. And then I had to deal with that
Right.
for a long time during the race. And you remember that, the metal A-frame at the top of where you make the right turn at Columbine where the stream is.
Where this?
You-
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
going up Columbine and you make the right turn, and now you can see above tree line and the stream's running down, and there's a big metal A-frame,
Yeah.
whatever that is. I don't know what it was for.
Right.
Well, I have a pair of Fruit of the Looms that I
Still
hung
there.
on there because back in '94 I didn't know I had underwear underneath my bike kit. Well, after Inside Out and rinsing them out and trying it again and all that, finally I just left them. Oh my gosh! So that's some first year stuff.
Yeah.
Don't try anything
Times have
new.
changed.
A lot has changed. Um, where was I going with that one? Jog my memory. Where was I? Here's half.
You were asking about and I just said I don't remember much about my
Oh,
first
yeah.
race other than the finish line, other than the finish.
Right.
Um,
So that, and then so now I have nothing in my stomach. I'm just empty, right? I'm just completely drained. I get down to Twin Lakes. I make the cutoff. I head to Fish Hatchery which is back then. And I get there and I can't get anything in my stomach, and it's raining, and I go up power line and I'm seeing spots,
oh
and I'm
God.
just like, man, I'm hearing that buzz because it's raining, and I'm
Right.
like, oh. So I go back down, I try and get something in my stomach. I can't. They're telling me, dude, you got to get going, man. You got to get going.
Right.
So I take off, and because back then there wasn't the same number of volunteers, I missed the turn to power line.
Got it.
So now I'm on the pavement, I'm going into town, and one of the guys, Bruce from the Harley gang, the motorcycle club, he is in a pickup truck and he says, "You racing?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "What are you doing? You're not on the course." I'm like, "Well, get me on the course." Well, he ends up taking me to where 4 and 9 cross.
Right.
We went right to the boulevard. So
Oh.
he drops me off. I finish the race, cross the finish line.
Oops.
And I get my medal, and I'm like, I know something's wrong. I don't know the course, but I know that I missed some of the course. So then, bam,
Right.
off comes the wristband immediately. They're like, okay, you're out.
Got it.
So that was now year 2. I'm entering. Well, I enter late, and I missed the deadline. So I'm on the phone and I'm talking to Mary Lee.
Yeah.
And I say, "Come on, Mary Lee, Colorado boy, I'm here. I did it late, did it the first year, didn't finish, and I'm giving her the sob story, and she's letting me down easy. And I'm not gonna give up, right? I'm gonna do everything I can to get in because I screwed up and I need to get my entry in. So I try it again. And then I hear this rustling, and then I hear, "What the fuck part of you didn't sign up in time? Don't you understand?"
Right.
And I mean, I am like just leaning back, or I don't even know what I was just like stunned. And he goes, "Do you want to do this race next year?"
Right.
I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Then you sign up on time." "Yes, sir." Click.
Wow. Wow.
That was my introduction to Ken Clover. And
Yeah.
I love Ken. I know Ken very well. And we have conversations and we talk on the phone and we have dinner together, and he's super, super good friend of mine. But that set the tone for, this is Leadville. This is black and white. This is not this is just how it is. This is the cowboy way, and you missed it. Tough. It was, just something that's etched in my mind forever.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. So, the finish line. The finish line is awesome, right? I mean, it's just when you see the people who have been out there for 13 hours and they've given everything that they've had, and they are coming across, and you finished in 11:05 or whatever the number is, and you feel okay, and then 2 hours later you know, and it's raining and they've been out there for, for
Right,
13 hours. Oh
right.
my gosh.
But I will tell you this, I mean, I to this day, I stay till the gun goes off.
I do too.
I finish and a lot of people just go home, but I stay till 12 o'clock, 12 hours.
Absolutely.
I will not miss it for, I mean, that's a non-starter. I mean, I have to watch that. That's what gives me my, you know, my fill of Leadville.
Oh, I get it. And a lot of
Amazing.
times
It
I'll
is, it
stay.
is this the most amazing thing to watch. I mean, I get emotional just talking about it. It's just so cool.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. And I'll stay for the 13-hour people because those are the most depleted people there are,
Yeah,
right? And I'll take my side by side and I'll get up at the top of Hospital Hill and cheer them from there, and maybe run in with them and just give them that last bit of,
right.
adrenaline to get there because they
It's
might fall over, right? They
it's
could
yeah.
they could just fall over right before the finish line.
But it's just it's tremendous. That whole
Yeah,
scene is just tremendous.
I agree. All right, so let's shift a little bit to your bike. Let's share some wisdom between you and I with the first timers. uh, you know, let's talk about the bike setup for a little bit. So let's just start at the front of the bike. With all the years that you've done it,
Yeah.
where are you going with tires now?
Ooh, tires.
Tires.
Yeah. I don't know if I can help you with that one.
Okay.
Um, I can't. I mean, I remember the old days. We would do these semi slicks at like 50 pounds. That was the way to go. And then obviously now it's lower pressure and um,
Well, what do you run? What tires do you run?
I I think a Maxis. I think Recons. Is that right?
Recons, Icons, Aspens.
I think Recon races. I think like 2.25s, 2.3s. Nothing. I'm just not I'm not a big tech guy like that. So,
Okay.
but just good cross country tires. I don't think it. Um,
Well, I think this is great because
yeah,
for the first timers, here's a guy who's finished 28 times and he's not really concerned about that crap. So
right,
run what you brung. You do not have to go and spend tons of money on
right,
all the newest, latest stuff. I would just make sure that what you have is not dry rotted,
right,
doesn't have checks in this, in the sidewalls, and even if the center tread is wore down, so what? Because we used to run snake bellies.
right.
I remember those tires. I mean, I can picture them in my head perfect. And even when it rained, it didn't matter because lead bills, if
Yeah,
it rains, it never gets slick. I don't think there's an inch on that course that's
yeah.
everything's
No,
fractured
tires
granite
aren't. I
and
had
rocks,
the remember the smoke and the darts
right?
and that were what a smoke was the front wheel and the dart was
Yeah,
the back or something.
absolutely.
And then
I
we had
think,
the porcupine. I don't know if you remember the porcupines.
oh, and those had so much more tread
So
than
much more.
yeah, than what's lug tread, like big wide open lug tread, compared to
Right.
like icons, which are super close together, and two really close in the center, and it's all about rolling resistance.
But it's I mean, like I said, here's a guy that's done 28 times and he doesn't even know what kind of tires he has. So, but I get it. I mean, people like to, tires, whatever makes you feel confident on the bike.
Right. No,
You know?
absolutely. Because this has got to work. This has got
Right.
to be in the right place for the entire race because it's going to ebb and flow. And here's a tip. And Jeff, you can expand, but I think that you are going to have moments of greatness, but it's a moment.
Yeah.
And then it's going to go downhill, and then you're going to have moments of, oh my God, this hurts. That
Right.
hurts. I didn't even know I had this thing that's hurting. What is going on? How come this is hurting? I can't believe it. I can't even pedal. I can't even focus on pedaling because my back hurts so bad, or my
Right.
tricep, or my trap, or whatever it is. That will also go away. That is also momentary.
Right.
So I don't know if it's a short moment or a long moment, but that will shift and you'll start to feel better. And who knows how long you'll feel good, and maybe you'll hit a climb and just do it and feel great. But that's probably going to go away as well. So
Right.
I think, all of that pain and they're just ups and downs all day long. And you have to be able to manage that in your head. And when it gets bad, you got to tell yourself, this isn't going to last,
Yeah. But
and
you
then if
have to, you are going to feel bad.
you are going to feel
Are
bad.
going to like want to throw up. Your legs are going to be like as dead as they've ever been. It's going to happen. And you need to prepare for it. Don't be racing and go, oh shit, I feel bad. No, it's going to happen. What are you going to do about it when it happens? Because it's going to happen. You're going to feel horrible and you're going to be exhausted. Your body's going to be, your stomach's going to be in knots, but it's going to happen. So just don't be surprised when it happens and then, stop. I mean, just know what you're going to do. Like, this is it. I guess I'm feeling bad right now. I guess, okay. Now I'm prepared for this,
Right, I was expecting it. I didn't know what to expect, but I was expecting something, So I
You
think
are going to feel bad. You
you are going
are
to
going to feel exhausted, whether it's mile 20 or mile 80 or whenever or in between. But don't be surprised when you feel like shit, because it's going to happen.
And on that note, now is when you reflect back to Ken, and when Ken, he's got all kinds of sayings, and one of them is make pain your friend, and you're never going to ride alone.
Yeah.
That's one of them. The other one is there is an inexhaustible well of grit, guts, and determination that each and every racer has. And when you get to that low point, or that hard point, or that sick point, or whatever that is, where
Right.
where you're almost breaking, then that's when you reach down into that well and grab
Right.
whatever that Leadville is, that thing that Leadville possesses that helps everybody. You reach in there and grab that and hold it close to you, and you are going to be fine. And
Right.
I can attest to that because I've done this race a bunch where I have knocked myself out.
Yeah.
I have had my bike completely explode, and I had to. Back in the day, I rode my buddy's girlfriend's bike for one section while my bike was getting fixed, which
Right.
was, oh my gosh, is that a pain?
I've
Terrible.
seen, I've heard of that. Of
Oh my goodness.
doing
But
that.
back then, it didn't matter. They didn't care, But but you just don't quit. That's the whole thing. And then his other thing, I commit, I won't quit.
Right. That's a good one.
Yeah, if you say it and you mean it, by God, come
Yeah.
race day, follow through with it.
Right.
And then, probably one of the most impacting ones for me was you are better than you think you are, and you can do more than you think you can.
Right.
And all of those things that Ken has just reiterated over and over and over, I mean, they are so true.
Right. Mantra. Yeah.
Yeah. And not only are they true at Leadville on race day, but if you embrace those are true for the rest of your life.
Right.
And there are so many times in my everyday life that, well, I have done it, right? I have got I even went and got, after my heart attack, I went and got tattoos to remind me. So every time I look down, it's like, I don't care what kind of day I'm having. That puts me in check. It says,
Right.
you know what?
No,
Doesn't,
I love when I come home after Leadville. It's like I just feel so refreshed and so, ready to tackle on anything, and nothing's gonna affect me negatively.
yeah.
If I can do Leadville, shit, you know,
Isn't that great?
it's a great feeling. So,
All right.
and
So,
I like, my blood is so thin when I go back to California to the sea level, I can beat all my buddies because I've got great oxygen.
right.
But it only lasts for about a week.
Oh, okay. So as far as bike goes, are you, for the newbies, you recommend a hardtail or a full suspension?
Um, I mean, I like full suspensions, not trail bikes, but little on the front, a little on the back. I think in the long run, I think it saves you some energy.
I'd agree. Yeah, I would agree.
From the pounding. I think that pounding takes energy out of you. So the smoother you can make the trail, I think the better.
Yeah.
Obviously there's negatives to, but you can, they all have lockouts now if you really want to, but I don't even bother locking my.
Oh, really? What do you ride now?
I ride a Pivot Mach 4 SL.
Okay. So, all right, are you a dropper guy or no dropper?
I have a dropper.
So you didn't in 94.
No.
And is it something when you got on it and used it, did you like automatically go, "Oh my God, this is it?"
So
Or did it take you a while to adapt?
it took a while, but I realized the value of it is tremendous.
Really?
Tremendous. Yeah.
See, I've ridden a dropper once and it just felt so
Weird.
different that I couldn't, I couldn't sell it to myself. So I'm just still on a solid post.
Got it.
Totally fine with it. I mean, I don't know the difference. I like having that, between my legs on the descent to help stabilize the bike,
Right.
help move it if I need to. I mean, I can use that for steering for me,
Right.
and I'm comfortable with that.
I
So,
mean, on going down Columbine or Powerline, you don't want to drop it all the way down, but I'll drop it a little bit. You still want to grab it with your thighs. Yeah.
oh, okay. Never thought about that. I just thought everybody just sent it to the bottom.
No, I don't. Yeah, not all the way. I just 3/4 or something, half.
Okay. All right. So, we were talking about bikes, dropper posts, tires, full suspension or hardtail, and gearing. What do you now, with this one by stuff, what are you running? Well, first, what times do you hit in Leadville? What kind of finish times are you getting?
10.5 to 11.
Okay. So right in the middle. And what kind of gearing are you running now?
SRAM Eagle gears
Yep.
with
1052.
yeah.
You know what's on the front?
No,
Don't know what's on the front.
it's either 30 or 32. I'd have to go look. It's not a 34.
It's not a 34.
No,
Okay.
I pull those off the day I buy the bike.
Right. Well,
Too big.
I can't push a 34.
No,
No way.
I think it might be a 30. It might be a 30.
Which is 30 is what I recommend for the first timers.
Absolutely.
If
The
you're a
smaller, the better.
12-hour bubble racer, that means that your watts per kilogram is, 2 point something. And, you probably do not have the V8 turbo diesel motor to push a 34.
Right.
You might be able to push a 34 at sea level in the flatlands
Right.
where you come from. But when you get to Leadville and you lose the approximately 20% of your FTP, that changes your power to weight ratio. That changes everything.
Yeah.
So if you can push a 34 at home, I can almost guarantee you, if you're a 12-hour bubble racer, that's
Yeah.
the key term, you're not pushing that at Leadville. Or you are pushing it, but then you
Right.
are pushing every hill that you come to,
Right.
which is just going to eat the clock. And if it eats the clock, it's going to take your buckle away. So I have proven with some of my experimenting with my friends racing, riding, training, climbing, if you can stay on your bike and climb, you are going to be faster than the guys pushing. Period.
Right.
There's just no, it is apples and oranges, black and white for sure. It's faster to ride. So consider, I mean, Jeff, 28 buckles that doesn't know what front sprocket he's running.
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious myself.
You haven't heard everything.
Well, come on, let's hear it. Let's hear some more stuff. Lead me into a few of those things that we want now you've set the hook.
Well, I may not be the best person to ask a lot of these questions. I mean, so I don't use a Garmin, don't use a heart rate monitor.
Ever or at the race?
Don't have a phone, don't race with a watch.
Well, back to your Garmin. Huh? You don't have a Garmin ever, or you don't use it on race day?
I don't use a Garmin. I don't use any electronics.
No electron. Oh my God. Okay, first timers, here you go. Here's another, just another different. I love this because we have just such different perspectives. Because
Right,
I'm a pretty techie, geeky
right,
data person. I love
right,
knowing where I'm at. So the bottom line is you don't need it. I mean, you're going to increase your odds if you use it to train because you're going to train more efficiently. And if you have a coach, they're going to need it to help you and move forward at a, maybe a quicker pace if you only have 6 months to get ready for Leadville.
right,
Whereas Jeff's been an athlete, an endurance athlete his whole life. He has a much more natural, organic feel for himself and what's happening and can gauge and know how hard he's pushing and know when to back it down and that sort of thing. Where first timers might, you're not going to have that same experience. Um,
right.
maybe, probably not. If you're a first timer and you're worried about cutoffs, you probably
Yeah,
won't
and
have that
I don't,
experience.
I mean, I think the putting the cutoffs on your stem is really smart idea. I mean, I think everyone should do that. I mean, I don't do it, but I think that's a great thing to do. And I've noticed more and more people do that. I think that's really smart to do.
Yep. And if buckle chasers, if you see me in Leadville in town, flag me down. I will have top tube
Stickers.
stickers, with the cutoff times and the mileage and that sort of thing for you to put on your top tube so that you can keep track of where you're at in relationship to the
Right,
course, the clock, the cutoff, all of that. Just so you can, if you have to just empty the tank to get to a cutoff, do it.
right, right,
Because
right,
then, at least now you're still in the game for the next cutoff.
right.
So that's another. All right.
Yeah,
So
I'll just, I talk to everyone when I'm on the course. And a lot of times I can just look at someone else's Garmin when I'm, right next to me and I can see things. I can see what time it is, or I'll just look at their Garmin, or I'll just ask someone what time it is, or
oh,
you have all day to do math. You can, you got all day to sit there and calculate. So,
oh my God. That is,
but yeah,
I love this.
I don't race or train with any of that stuff. Um, and I don't really train either. So that's not a good, I just ride. I just ride a lot.
He just right. Well,
I,
okay.
I ride a lot.
And Jeff is at
Race
sea
a lot.
level.
Huh?
What town are you in?
San Francisco.
He lives in San Francisco, so he's at sea level. He does have some mountains, so he gets to ride that. That's it's a benefit to him for him.
I
But
have
he's at
hills.
sea level, and with no data whatsoever, he just rides. So you guys, you can do it. I know that and I have recommended it a lot. Is get
It's
a
9
coach,
o'clock.
get your Garmin, get a coach, get online. And the reason I recommend that is because nowadays it might take you 5 or 8, 9, 10 years to get in. So with that being said, and you finally get in, I think you need to make the most of race day.
Right.
And that's why I offer my coaching, Get My Buckle coaching. Reach out to me, Mike at getmybuckle.com. We can talk about coaching for course strategy and race day because you need to make the most of your attempt. And if you have all the data and you have all the numbers and you have all the information and you know what to expect and you know how to prepare, then race day is going to be that much more. Um, it's just going to be a better day, and your odds of finishing it in under 12 hours are going to increase.
Totally,
Yeah, if you
totally
don't,
agree.
yeah, totally.
But what you can't do is, a lot of people think, well, I've got all the data and I got all this, but you still have to ride. You have to ride a lot. Go do 100 miles on a Saturday morning, or go do a double century, in June. But nothing replaces riding. You can have all the data in the world and be as smart as you can, but you have to train. You have to put in the miles. And I think Ken says that all the time. Nothing's going to replace the miles.
Yeah, nothing is going to replace the miles. And here's another tip. You cannot cram for this test.
Yeah.
So
The day I finish, I'm already thinking about next year. I'm already planning. Okay, day one, what am I going to do today to get ready for 360 days from now? I mean, every day I'm thinking about August 12th or whatever.
I
Every
totally
ride,
agree with you.
every race. Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree with you. So you cannot cram for this race. Don't forget that. You have to, and it's about consistency. It is about not only putting the miles in, but it's about putting the miles in every day
Yeah.
or every other day as much as you can. It is about consistency because even if you're doing a shorter ride and it's, you're riding with your girlfriend or your sweetie,
Right.
what you are, what's happening behind the scenes is blood flow,
Yeah.
posture, muscle memory. I mean, all of those things are happening when you're just out cruising on the bike path for an hour. It's better than sitting in the chair,
Yeah.
on the couch. So, those things, it's hard to, Chris Carmichael would, he was my coach for a couple of years, and
Yeah.
he would say to me a lot, don't overcook the sauce, meaning just go ride, just go
Yeah.
easy, just go ride, get on your bike. You're in bike posture, your back is getting stronger, your traps are getting stronger, your
Right.
lats are getting stronger, your triceps, everything is, you're working everything out, not just your aerobic cycling system.
Yeah.
So, you know, ride, ride, ride. You're not going to cram for this test. You've got to start as early as you possibly can and stick with it. And
And
you
long
may,
rides,
huh?
long rides.
And some longer rides, right? You're gonna
Because like, we've got enough energy for 2 hours. You've got to train your body to like, get rid of that and learn how to replenish it.
right. And process the fuel that you're providing it.
Correct. You got to train your body for that too. But
And
back
that's
to Chris Carmichael, he's a big tech guy, but I lined up next to him once one year and he had no Garmin, no heart monitor. I'm like, Chris, I thought you were the big, heart monitor. He's like, when I race, it's perceived effort.
really
I train with all my gear, but when I race, I don't race with my gear. Now, I don't know if he still does that. I mean, that was 20 years ago, but
right.
I never forgot that.
Beat him?
Huh?
Did you beat him?
No, I don't think so. He's like a sub 9 guy, isn't he?
He was both. He missed
Yeah.
it. I think he missed it a couple years and then he got it a couple years. But yeah, when he first showed up, I don't think he sub nine.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, because I know 1 year, I think it was like when I had my best year is when I passed him coming down at the bottom of Columbine at that A-frame.
That must have been a good feeling.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding? Another
Classic
good,
coach.
what was it? Yeah, right. Another good feeling is if you go on the lifetime results, if you look up Lance Armstrong, you'll get his time for last year.
What do you mean for last year?
He raced.
Oh, he did. Okay, yeah, that's right. He did, didn't he?
He paced the front. I think
Right.
I heard, I don't know. I heard he paced someone, so his finish time was nowhere near what
So
his
we all beat Lance last year.
right. So I have that printed off. It's right next to my finisher's time one.
Me, Lance.
Oh my goodness. Go ahead. What were you?
I don't know.
Oh, well, you were talking about. You said you haven't heard. I haven't even started. Then you transitioned. I don't even
Oh,
have
okay.
Garmin.
Well, for me, all the tech stuff, um, I just like to ride. I mean, I've got friends that, they've got the Garmins and they plot our ride that we're going to do that day. And they'll call me and they'll go, "Hey, Jeff, kind of your turn to put on a ride." And I'll say, "Okay, just show up at this trailhead at this time." And they're like, "Well, how long, where's the map? Send us the map." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't have a map." We're just and they've gotten used to it now, but like at the first time they were like, "Wait a minute, you don't have a map? How are we supposed to know where to go?" And I'm like,
Follow me, right? Oh my
oh
goodness.
yeah, so the all that and all my friends were like, "Jeff, if you trained, if you did like wind sprints up this hill and you'd be so much faster." And I'm like, "Yeah, but then it's not fun." I just like to ride. So I've never really trained hard, like you probably do, you know, doing sprints and doing keeping your, what is it, your level, your anaerobic staying between, this and that level kind of stuff.
Oh no, I believe me. I
I
trained.
kind of get it. I
Uh,
kind of get it. And I understand it. And I do it kind of, subliminally, I guess, to a degree.
sure. Well, I will never, I will never abandon the fantasy of having a sub 9 buckle until I get one.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I do everything I can to improve my odds of getting that, which is a coach, and it's a power meter, and it's a Garmin, and it's a heart rate
Oh
strap,
yeah. You
and
need
it's a
those things.
yeah, and a bike on a studio trainer in my man cave, and a big huge TV in front of it, and a fan, and the water right there, and
Right.
so I do everything I can to up my
Sure.
percentages to
Sure.
get that.
Sure.
But there, I must admit there was one year, probably, well, my best year was 11, and I had had a coach for the previous 2 years, and I think they ran me too hard. And when I showed up on race day, I was fatigued, and
Oh dear.
I got a 10:30 or something. After I had been training for sub 9 and doing all these intervals, and just really putting the time in,
Right.
I kind of got frustrated with the 2 years of not reaching my goal,
Right.
and I just said, not doing that. I'm just going to go ride hard. And I had a friend of mine who was, he was more of a sprinter. So every time we hit a hill, he would always be ahead of me, and I'd have to try and catch him.
Right.
So I know that that was super good for me, just revving up, in every hill we would hit, because I live in the mountains. So we hit all kinds of hills, and I
Right.
would chase him up to the top and try and pass him. So those are my intervals that I didn't structure,
Right.
but we just rode and had fun. And because we were competing, and he was a better sprinter than I was, he was always pushing me, or I was pushing
Right.
myself to get to him.
I have some friends like that. That's great. If you have some friends that are fast, go ride with them.
There you
And
go.
oh, makes you so much faster. So much.
Right. Yeah. If you're chasing somebody and you're worried about them turning on the trail that you won't see there where they went, so you're pushing yourself, and you're pushing yourself past your comfort zone to keep up with them.
Really helps.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing at all, unless it's too close to the race.
Really helps.
Right. But in the middle of the season, man, that's a great, that's a
Right.
great training tool,
Right.
to have a guy faster than you.
And I think the biggest, probably the weirdest thing about me is, I don't do like gels. I'll do bars, but I will literally stop at the dam on mile 60, and I'll take my shoes off, and I'll take my helmet off, and I'll have a Subway sandwich and some chips and a Coke. I'll have lunch. I'll stop, sit down, and have lunch.
Oh my God. I love it. I just absolutely love it. I mean, racers, this is so good, because there are and I preach, and I'll continue to,
Yeah.
because I think Jeff's the anomaly, but it works for him, right? We all have to do things that work for us. But my advice to you first timers is, don't stop very long.
Right.
Don't take your shoes off. Don't take your helmet off. Don't If you have not eaten a Subway sandwich on a 100-mile ride, do not try that at Leadville.
Right.
So, Jeff has through 28 years, he has trial and errored to the point where this works for me.
Right.
So, as opposite the scale of what I try and tell
It
people,
is. It is. But
okay, but if you can do that during the summer now, if you can do that in June and it works, great. Great. You have to figure out what works for you, because your long rides now, right, as we're starting to get into the long ride season, you need to train your gut, as
right.
well as train, your body and your back and your legs and your aerobic system and everything else. You got to train your gut also to process the food that you're ingesting,
Right.
so that you can turn it into fuel and keep going. And Jeff's to the point now where if he can eat a Subway sandwich, and that just is like having a reserve tank, great, works for him. Bunch
Right.
of carbs, so, but just figure out what works for
Protein.
you before you get to Leadville. and don't
And then
try.
I'll stop at the mutual aid stations and get cookies and Coke um, to supplement,
Sure.
and then bars. All I really carry is bars. Like
And
I'll take like 3 bars to the dam, and then maybe 3 bars to go to the top of Columbine and back, and then I'll grab 3 more bars to get back to Pipeline, and then I'll my final, grab some bars for the last 30 miles.
wow, you know,
It's,
you can't argue with results, right?
it works.
And
It
if
works.
even if I wouldn't recommend it, he's got a proven track record that this works. So just figure it out before you get to Leadville is my advice to all you guys.
Right. Totally. Totally.
That's
I mean,
yeah.
the thing I would say is just when you race, control what you can control. And
Yeah.
if you fail because you haven't eaten or you haven't drank enough water, that's on you. I mean, there's enough things out there that are going to be out of your control, but you can control the things you can control: your food intake, your water intake, your pace. Those are the things that you have to have down, whatever works for you. But control what you can control. And
Oh, I love it. I mean, I
that
think
makes, yeah.
that racers, sage wisdom right there. Control what you can control. Lord knows 12,000 feet is
Yeah.
going to throw plenty at you that you have no control over.
Right.
And they call it the Rocky Mountains for a reason. A lot of you guys are gonna learn that the hard way with your sidewall torn or your derailleur ripped off or who
Right.
knows what. It can happen. So control what you can control. And
Right.
I mean, I think that was a great little list. It's your food intake, it's your hydration intake,
Right.
it is your mental, your mental state all day. You've got to keep this in check. This has got to be in the game
Right.
100% of the time.
And what I do is I smile to people, I thank the volunteers, I do those kind of things. That kind of keeps my mind in a good order.
I love that because I say thank you to every volunteer
It helps.
I can without if I'm not dying breathing whatever, always thank them. And if somebody passes me, I always compliment them. Hey man,
Right. That
whatever
helps.
you're doing, if it's a good pace line or if they're passing me up the climb or whatever it is,
Right.
because family,
It's
right?
community. It's
This is
family.
one of your brothers or sisters. They're just better at you than you at that moment in the course. So why not give them a shout out? Like, dude,
And if they shout back, it gives you a little lift. It gives you some energy. Like, wow, thanks. And
well, that's the karma tank getting refilled, right?
so I'm a gabber on the course. I'll talk to anyone. Where are you from? How many times you done it? Could you believe that back there or whatever? I'll just and you can tell like some people they don't want to talk to you, and you'll get the idea after a while because you're talking, they're just their heads down, and then I'll just go up to the next person. Hey, what's your name? Till I find someone that'll talk to me.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's great. I think Jeff and I we're going to extend this, not tonight, but we're going to do a multi-show series, and we are going to discuss what you do for when you get the email that you're in. How do you take that winter time and prepare? And then we're going to have another show about the start, and then we're going to talk, and then another show about the course, and go from the start to Carter, and from Carter to Pipeline, and it's going to be great because I've learned that Jeff and I could not be any farther apart on how we race the race.
Right.
And it's going to be awesome because you're going to get sage wisdom from a guy who loves to chat it up and doesn't have technology and just rides, and he just he does it from passion for the bike, and versus me who's pretty laser focused. I mean, I don't think I've missed a day of training since January 7th.
Right.
I'm training 6 days a week. I'm on my trainer. I'm hitting it hard on the weekends. I'm doing longer rides. I integrate riding with my sweetie into my training program. I've got all the data. I've got, my training peaks. I've got my Strava. I mean, I know the watts per kilogram it takes to 12. I know what it takes to sub 9. all of those numbers are in my head to see if am I there? Because expectations is part of what you have to manage on race day. And if you're expecting this, but you've only
Right.
prepared for this, and you let your head get in the way of that, man, you're gonna have a long day if you finish.
Right.
So this series that Jeff and I are gonna do, I think is gonna be well worth
And
looking.
if you haven't done it, you don't know what your expectation is, really. You really don't know what you're getting yourself into. So
Well,
I'm
there's a lot of data and a lot of video, and there's a lot of information that you can start to gather,
figure, yeah,
but until you get to Leadville and until you step out of that car at 10,000 feet and take your first half breath,
right.
you're going to attempt to take an entire breath, but it's not going to happen. You'll go through the motions of an entire breath, but you're only going to get 50% content. Oh man, I think that there are so many people who get there, and you can just see them get out of the car, right? You can tell
Yeah.
who's getting out of the car, heading up to Packet
They
Pickup.
go, oh my God.
Right.
Oh, there's no air.
There's no air. Oh man.
But
And
yeah, I
that's the
mean,
truth.
I couldn't approach it any different than you do. And I think people enjoy that because everyone's different. And maybe someone will see the way I do it, and the way you do it isn't really the way they want to do it. They want to just have fun, or I don't know. I enjoy the training part. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love training's the funnest part is, oh shit, I got Leadville coming up. I gotta go ride. I mean, I love that. I
Yeah.
just, I live for that. It gives my, structure in my day or something, but I don't know, but
Well,
I
I'm
enjoy
not
it.
if for me personally, if I don't ride for 3 days for whatever reason, like this week I was down for a couple days sick,
Yeah.
and man, was I itching. I mean, I was
Right.
just I was looking forward. The weather was shitty, and I was looking forward to getting on my trainer, which is not trainers suck. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't use Zwift, so I don't have that integrated feel. I have my training peaks, which shows up on my Garmin, and just it just as a changes watts and
Right.
time and that sort of thing. And then try and watch some kind of show or something. But yeah, if I don't ride for a couple days, man, I'm ready. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like I'm starting to deteriorate, and I think the older that I get, the more I feel that way
Quicker. Yeah.
quicker, because it's like I know that if I don't do that, you lose it 10 times faster than you regain it. You know, you have to
That
you have
scientific? Is that, or you just,
that's a mic number.
that's my number.
That is no science. It just feels like 10 times
10
quicker.
times.
It just drops
It
off so
might be. I don't
fast.
know.
And then when you're like, man, now I got to get back and ride. It's like I don't feel like I can ride as fast as I was last week. Right?
Well, I think it's great that you're helping people.
Well, thanks.
I think that's great. I've I've talked a lot of people into doing it, you know, back in California here. Yeah, you got to do Leadville with me. And I'll get them to sign up, and I'll tell you what, I help them train, and I help them, I take them under my wing, and to see them finish, I almost get more satisfaction out of seeing them finish than myself. When I see them finish across the line for the first time, when you see someone cross for the first time, it's a great experience. And I just, like I said, I think I get more out of that watching that than me finishing. It's,
Oh, I totally, yeah.
it's
And
amazing. It's great.
I agree with you 100%. And I think something that I think about a lot is the underdog, right? Just the underdog in general. The original underdog was Leadville, the town, right?
Right.
And
Interesting.
and Ken and Mayor Lee, they rockied it, and they fought and they fought and fought and fought, and they wouldn't give up, and they resurrected the town, and it got its life back.
Right.
So, to me, that's the underdog component is just enormous from my
Right.
perspective. And then to see the underdog people who, whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever their story is, there are so many stories out there that are
So
just
many.
unbelievable.
Cancer, car accident, or you know.
Stents, my 6 stents that I had in my heart attack in the
Yeah, me
course,
too.
right? So I really emphasize with you know, the underdog is to see someone who didn't think they could finish, who didn't have the confidence at the start, and were probably thinking, "Oh my God, I don't know, here, St. Kevin, holy cow, oh my Sugarloaf, oh my God, am I ever
Right.
going to get up it?" Right, Columbine, I'm pushing up the whole thing, and then when they get to um, Pipeline coming home, and they're looking at their watch, like, you know what, I'm going to do that. I might be able to
Right.
do this.
Oh, what a
And
great,
that, yeah, right. Isn't that the most
great
awesome
feeling.
to see those people come up to come up Hospital Hill and they're crying before they get to the finish line?
Oh.
How can
Well, anything I can do, Mike, to impart wisdom or help other people, I'm happy to do it. I mean,
love
it's
it?
it's
No, I think we'll definitely do that. What yeah. So we'll start a series, you and I, and we'll just start from when you got the email. Now what? Because there's so many things. I'll touch on a couple things that we'll talk about in the
uh-huh.
next series. Would be lodging.
Yeah.
Lodging is a crucial component. Start line clothing.
Yeah.
What are you going to do on the start? Do you have any idea what 38 degrees at 12,000 or 10,000 feet feels like? And it might be raining. Uh,
Rain.
you
Be
know,
prepared. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Gear.
yeah, that'd be fun.
Yep, gear. Gearing. Food. We have one grocery store in Leadville, and we have 5,000 people show up, all wanting
Right.
organic, whatever. And those shelves are bare half the day. So, what are you going to do about food? We'll talk about crew logistics. We'll talk about weather preparedness throughout the day. We'll talk
Yep.
about what are you going to carry, in anticipation of this happening. What are you going to do if this happens? What are you going to do if that happens?
Right. And I have like millions of, I do the same thing every year now, but it's
Oh,
taken me 20 years to figure it out.
right.
So I can
Well, that'll
be
be,
happy to
that'll be
share that.
super. Okay. Well, racers, I hope you were able to absorb some of the knowledge that Jeff has shared. In my opinion, priceless, completely different than myself from perspectives. So I think when him and I talk, it's going to be, you're going to get a little bit from Jeff's side of, the street, and you're going to get a little bit from my side of the street, and you can filter through and try them both and see what works, and enjoy your journey from January 7th
Right.
to August. I think it's, what is it?
Good luck.
Here,
Good
right?
luck.
Good
Gotta
luck.
do where's your ads, Mike? You
Oh,
gotta
I
get
got
the
him.
sponsors out there.
That's next. That's next. I'm not going to take up your time with this. So, but all right, Jeff, I appreciate it. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Okay.
Look forward to it. And first time buckle chasers, I'll let you know. Keep your eye out for the series with Jeff Leenhouts, and we will share all of our wisdom from January 7th until you cross the red carpet on August,
Yay.
whatever it is.
You can do
Second
it.
weekend in
You can
August.
do it.
You can do it. Amen. All right. So
Thanks, Mike.
here, while you're getting ready and you're preparing, consider some of these. These are the guys who have lined with our show. Carbo Rocket, Get My Buckle, get you 25% off your first order. Alpine Fuel Nutrition, Lindsay is the lady behind this, and she will help you. How many calories per hour? How many carbs per hour? How much fat per hour? How do you cut weight on the way to Leadville safely that you're not going to compromise any of your training? 100%. They have gloves and goggles and glasses and shorts and helmets.
I'm ordering some glasses.
There you go. So reach out to me, Mike, at getmybuckle.com, and I will get you set up with the discount code. We'll put an order in. We also have Quicker Stuff, which is, they say it's the last bike rack you'll ever buy. I have one. I have two. And they are, I got to say, They're awesome. And you can replace every part individually.
Mm.
They are rock solid. I mean, they are very good. And then also Bird wheels. These are the rope spokes, which are super light, carbon hoops, super compliant. I mean, these are awesome, light, comfortable wheels. I rode them last year, loved them. And then Get My Buckle, get you 20% off the rope spoke wheels. So anyway, thank you very much. Thanks again, Jeff. Look forward to circling back.